Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's unusual for us to do this on a Friday. We're happy that you're joining us today. Go ahead and drop a note in the chat where you're joining us from, because we give everybody a few minutes to keep signing on. And let me look at my chat to see. I am in West Hartford, Connecticut, where it is kind of a spring day, which feels really good. How about everybody else? Where are y'all joining us from? Just drop a note.
Here in Michigan. It's a beautiful day.
You're in Michigan. Is it nice? We got Ontario.
Beautiful.
You've had some terrible weather in Michigan, haven't you? Have you guys done that snow?
Well, no, actually, it's not been a bad. It has not been a very bad winter. I mean, we've had a few hits, every now a few times during it, but not bad, not really bad. I have seen worse, a lot worse.
A lot of places have, like maybe it was somebody I was talking to in Minnesota or South or North Dakota. It was still snowing the other day.
Oh my goodness, no! Ooh, yeah.
We got Illinois, Austin, Texas, Toronto. You've got some members here joining, I think, there to cheer you on here in this in our chat as well, which is always fun. Again, we're just going to give it a few more minutes before we let people keep coming in. And then we'll get started. Lots of people are saying they're from a sunny place, so that's good. So spring is definitely here.
I see some colleagues from the master class that are there. I see some folks from my regional group that are here. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
That's a good crowd.
Give
it another minute or two, everybody. We had 156 people signed up. So I said, now of that, I was going to be impressed if 50 came. We're at 37. So maybe, I don't know if we'll quite swing over to 50, but I do that a lot too. I always sign up for things that I've done a lot of times. I don't care. Something comes up, right? But all right, I think it's good to get started. So welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kathy Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. And every month for, I think, a few years now, we have been doing what we call career advice from a pro. And what it is actually we just invite different professional photo organizers to share their story about their business. And I always ask the same questions. And actually, we have a YouTube channel where we are now actually putting those all there. So you can go back if you want to listen to others. And Gaylotta said right away, well, I don't see myself as a pro. I said, well, no, we're not. Like, what does that word mean? It's people who are offering photo management, photo organizing services at all different stages in their career, right? So we've had people with employees, that people have been doing it for a really long time, and people that are newer at it. Because we want you that maybe are thinking about this as a business to get a true understanding of the variety of people that do this for a living, what their business is like. So, so I'm thrilled to welcome Gaylotta. So Gaylotta, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in offering these services as a business.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. My name is Gaylotta Murray, and I am a native Detroiter, but I currently my husband and I live in Canton, Michigan, where we are in a home that we downsized to. Very happy. I'm really glad to be in a smaller home. I educated in Detroit, college in Detroit, went to Wayne State University, worked for the most part, my whole professional life has been in Detroit, Michigan. So how did I get started? My background is in nonprofit, and I've worked with nonprofits. I had a career at United Way for 16 plus years. So I'm very much connected with working. I enjoy working with people and helping people and that thing. While I was there, I found myself really getting into doing PowerPoint presentations. In fact, people would look to me and say, oh, Gaylotta's going to do a PowerPoint presentation. She's going to do a PowerPoint presentation. They were right. I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation. And because I felt that it was a good way, I'm visual. So to me, that was a perfect way to convey whatever it is that I convey. Plus, it was a backup to presentations. I mean, I didn't like just standing in front of people. I didn't believe that anybody wanted to just look at me and listen to me. So I felt that that visual piece really told the story. And so I did that. And then when I joined my church, I'd been with my church for a few years, and I was asked to do a Sunday school class. And the Sunday school class that I was working with were young adults. And I said, how am I going to reach out to these young adults? Because I know I can't expect them to come with a Bible and a Sunday school book and open it up and let's go. So I started doing PowerPoint presentations, and it did work. I mean, I did get their attention. I did find that the class was growing. And so that was great. So one day, one of my church members stopped me and said, I've been hearing about you and your PowerPoint presentations, and looks like that's something you like to do. I said, yeah, it is something I like to do. She said, well, I'd like to ask you to join our media ministry. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what does a media ministry do? She says, well, we create the presentations or the commercial for pastors. So any announcements or whatever, we make them visual and we do that. I said, well, I've never done a video in my life. Oh, don't worry about it. It's just like PowerPoint. It is not just like PowerPoint, but it is close, but not close enough. So I taught myself through not Movie Maker, Windows Movie Maker. I think
it's Windows. I think it's Windows is Movie Maker, right? And
yeah, I think. So I taught myself on that, which is a very simplistic editing tool. And I really thought I was into something. And so I kept on doing that and got more comfortable. But then the door opened and I found out that there was a much bigger world out there in terms of design, and that I was just scratching the surface. And so, I just kept at it and kept at it. And Kathy and I were talking earlier about being a lifelong learner. In this business, you have to be willing to be a lifelong learner. And that's what I've been. So I started out doing memorial tributes and realized that I did not want to do a whole career in that. So I began to build and do more and add to my business. And I'll talk about that later, but
and I'm curious, when you were doing the memorial slideshow, right, the memorial services and things, did you start charging for that, or was that part of like your ministry?
Not initially, I didn't. I had a church member whose daughter died suddenly. She was a captain in the Air Force, I believe, and she was based in Florida. And she got the call that she just fell out during some training that she was doing and never woke up again. So she called me from Florida and asked me if I would put together the memorial tribute for her. And again, I said, I've never done anything like this before, but because it's you and because this is a very, very special moment, I mean, how can I say no? So she said that she had prayed on it and God told her to ask me. Now, how can you question that? how can you argue with that? So I said, okay. And we did it long distance. Fortunately, the majority of the photos that she had were digital, thank God. So we were able to just, email back and forth. And I did my first full video for someone else with her. And she offered to pay me. I wasn't going to charge her. She offered to pay me and then told me that I really needed to think about making this a business. So that was my encouragement right there.
Good. Okay. I figured there had to be a switch, right? Where so many people come to this as a hobby or doing something, and then somebody says to them, that was my story too. I was in charge. Somebody said, well, charge per hour. And I was stunned. Like, well, I don't charge anything per hour. All these years later. Right. So these are the questions I usually take people to. So first of all, how long have you been doing this as a member of the Photo Managers?
Well, Kathy, I honestly have to say, and this is just not a shameless plug for the Photo Managers, but I really consider myself really being serious about this when I joined the Photo Managers. And Isabel could probably tell me better than I can. I think I'm into my fourth year, my third or fourth year. I don't know for sure. But when I joined the Photo Managers, I got a much bigger perspective and understanding of what this business was all about, and really began to stop making it a hobby where I got paid occasionally to making it a business.
Great. Good. Well, thanks for the plug. Yes. So what advice would you give to somebody starting just out? So if there's people on the call here who are just kind of checking it out, wondering what this is all about, what advice do you have from your experience?
I think you have to love design, color, putting things together, storytelling, and most of all, people, because you're going to get all kinds of people that are, in different kind of situations that are going to come to you and ask you to put something together. So I do think you don't have to be it helps to be an organized person. This business will move you in that direction if you're not already there. But you do need to be open to, discipline and being organized and getting your projects together and making them come together. But I think a love for design and color and storytelling is important.
Right. And then the market. And so what are the services that you provide? Your kind of your market niche, then it sounds like is.
It's photo books, video slideshows. I am also a Forever ambassador. So if there are, shout out to the Forever ambassadors that are on today. And I use Forever as a major platform for making my photo books. I mean, I usually go there. I may use some other tools, but I use Forever for that. So yeah, those are
photo books, slideshows, kind of like
yes.
the
And then Forever, I also add media conversion to that because I'm able to offer media conversion and online storage. And so to some degree, digital organizing too is a part of what I do. I always tell people that when you decide to do a photo book, in my mind, that's a form of digital photo organizing because you begin to bring all the photos that are special to you for that particular project, and you get the benefit of having them digitized and then having them organized around that. And that's a beginning. That's a start.
And do you offer scanning yourself as well as like people when they come with, boxes of printed photos, or do you outsource that as well?
Kathy, I just had a photo book that I did for a church member, and she has never had any of her photos digitized. So when she told me she had a lot of photos, I just said, okay, well, just send them to me. She said, oh, well, how can I do that? And I said, well, you just, upload them to that totally went over her head. She said, I don't have anything. She said, all my photos are physical photos. And she gave me well over 300 photos that I had to sit and go through. And I learned so much from that particular project, so much that I have to put into place that I had not put into place. I also learned I don't like scanning. So I'm not big on scanning, but if I have to, I will, but it's not one of my favorite things to do.
That's amazing, right? So what's important for those of you, if those of you that have been listening for a while would know that we always say to people, you got to do what you love and outsource the rest. Yes. So some people absolutely love scanning and that's all they want to do, right? It's amazing. And some people, like Gaylotta, want to do the design work. And so, but it's okay to outsource. Like you're saying, we have partners, like Forever is a partner, different companies that you could then send that work to, have somebody else do it, but you're the project manager working with the client, right? The client they hire you because they figure you're going to get all that done for them. They don't care, just like in a general contractor in your house, right? You're not asking who's the plumber or who's the electrician. You just want somebody else to know the right people to do that, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's getting started. How have you found your clients?
Well, it started out with church. I got a few clients through church. And then it has been through pretty much word of mouth. I think the majority of the clients that I have, if not all of them, have been because they know someone else that knows me. I do have a funeral home that I work with, and from time to time, they will pass on a job to me, and then, they will do that. So that's what it's been. But I'd like to expand, and if I could figure out, and I'm working to figure out social media, I'm hoping that that will be a way of getting the word out more. But yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And then what is it that you love most about your job?
I love creating. I really love creating. And as much anxiety as it gives me, I love the challenge of creating. So I can really get stuck on when if I'm trying to make pieces come together and they're not coming together, or if I'm working in a tool, an editing tool that is just not cooperating with me, I will stay with it and stay at it until I finally, get it to work and get it done. Now, I would offer to anyone else that finds themselves in that, when you find that solution, this is not what I've done, but when you find that solution, write it down, because it's going to come back to you. It'll come back again. And then you wonder, well, how the heck did I do that? I can't remember how I did that. So right. Yeah, write it down.
That's a good, and I think I'm sure you're learning that in the master's class, but that's kind of the message to the learning about going from a hobby, something that you did for family and friends or for yourself, to a business, is that you want to have systems in place so that you can duplicate your process without thinking about it every single time, right? You want to start to create an operations manual. Isabel and I are working on ours for conference because, believe it or not, we don't have that locked up very well. And now we're really like, geez, if we had just made those notes from last year, we would be ahead of ourselves, right? So it's important to really think of yourself as that's great that you're starting to put those processes in place, right? Here's another question I always like to answer on the heels of that, because it's always easy to talk about what we love most about our businesses, but what's something that you don't really like? Because I want people to have a realistic understanding when you become an entrepreneur and a business owner. There's things that you love and things that you may not love. And so, Gaylotta, what would you answer to that question?
So I'm working in a very digital-based profession. And that can be probably the most frustrating thing about it, because everything you do is based on this laptop. If I was to lose this laptop in front of me, if it was to shut down, I'm in really bad shape. And when it doesn't cooperate with me, when it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, I am freaked out. I'm learning to try and be patient about it. But, so it's the unexpected electronic or digital kinds of things that come up that just don't work when you want them to work. That's what I don't like. And then it just changes my whole mood and changes my whole plan for where I was going with whatever project I was working on.
Yeah, I can hear. I bet you everybody's nodding in agreement there, right? Yeah, it's frustrating. And that's, I guess, that idea, though, that willingness to learn. I think that it's something we really encourage people to think about if they're looking at this as a business, that lifelong learner, that willingness to take a deep breath, go find the answer, right?
Yeah, take a deep breath, call whoever you need to call. I'll call Lenovo, that's my computer. I'll call Microsoft, I'll call whoever, or email whoever I can and tell them what my problem is. And 9 out of 10 times I do get responses to help me work it through.
Yeah, that's great. What skills from your past work experience or life experiences have helped you in being a business owner?
So this may be odd to some of you, but I am a creative. I've always been creative. I love decorating my house. I love clothes, and for a long time, I made my own clothes. And so in doing that, I had to be able to put stuff together, according to where it goes and the pattern. And I had to line things up, and I had to be precise in that. And I think that skill has stayed with me, because when I'm putting together a photo book, or if I'm working on an image or something, I'm really particular about how it lines up. And is it in the middle? Is it here? Is it what, I'm really that. And I think that carries over from, laying out patterns and cutting things out. And I think that there's a definite connection with that. And that's I'm not saying you all have to sew so you can do this, but that's what,
I think what's interesting, the reason I like to ask that question is I think sometimes we underestimate what our past life experiences bring to a business when you, especially if you're new to starting a business. And my
Yes.
experience has been, as I've succeeded with things, I've thought back, wow, I'm using that skill I did 30 years ago that I didn't know was a skill I had developed, like, or, putting together presentations, for instance, because I was in sales. So like my first client, I put together a proposal. Well, that's because in my first career, I put together proposals, things like that you don't realize. And like you're saying, sewing, or it sounds like putting all those PowerPoints together for your nonprofit, you're building on the skills that you already have.
That too. Yes, certainly that too.
And what's it like when you deliver a final project to a client?
Wow. It is, nerve-wracking and fully satisfying at the same time, particularly if they're pleased. I just finished a photo book for a client, and it was her parents' wedding album that she's had for a long time. And she wanted to, she was, she heard me, she's in a networking group, and she heard me talk about what I do. And she said, I'd like to have my parents' photo album digitized. And I learned, one of the things that I will also say is that with every project, you learn something different. And with every client, you get better and better. Because if you push yourself, if you open, you'll step out and find something a little different that you might want to add to whatever it is you do. And that opens up a whole lot of other doors. But she was very pleased. Whenever I show my clients, I usually do it in a Zoom meeting, and I go through the album in the Zoom meeting, page by page. And she just kept saying, "Ooh, I love that. Oh, that is so wonderful," with each and every page. And that is probably just the greatest feeling that you can get, that they're satisfied.
And that's interesting too. You work remotely, right? So you're able to work remotely with clients, right? You're not.
That is true. Right.
Zoom has changed the world.
It really has. It really has.
So one more question that I always asking people: if you have questions for Gaylotta, please, I meant to mention that, put them in the chat. We have plenty of time to answer any questions or any comments and things like that. How has membership with the photo managers been helpful to you?
Oh my gosh, it has been so helpful. I've never been to an in-person conference, and I was planning to go this year, but another I've got a conflict with something else, and something else came up, and I went to another conference, and I said, okay, I got to look at my budget. But so I'm not able to do it in person, but I'm able to participate virtually. But I have loved it. I have met different people, and I have been able to commiserate and celebrate and do all of those things with people of like mind, and everyone is so open and so generous with what their experience and what they're willing to do and to help you out. And I really love it. What I will say, as a new person, and I will just tell you, don't waste your time joining a whole lot of other networking groups. I didn't know that. So I was paying to join this networking group, and then I was in another group, professional group, and another group. I was probably in about 3 professional groups before I realized, I don't need those other groups. This is the group that I really need, because I was getting everything in one package. Whereas in another group, I might get one little something, one level of exposure, or one level of experience. But in the photo managers, you get so much. And it's all related to what you're doing. It's all related to your business and to making you a better business person, a better photo manager.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. Thank you. Yes, we work hard at, right, because we're teaching the skills of starting a business, growing a business, and then doing the actual work. And so, and it's something that, there's, it's been 12 years. This is our 11th conference, and people still say, oh my gosh, I didn't know there was such a thing. We're still in that stage, less and less, but now people say, oh, I need you, right? Most people went from saying, you do what, to, oh my gosh, I need you. So
yeah, they do.
Right? They realize
but the other thing that I really like is it may have been a few weeks ago, probably last month. And I said, photo managers is so open and not limited to what they offer. There was maybe it was advice from the pro, I'm not sure, where a guy was talking about being fit to be able to do your photography.
Oh, right. We did the, yeah, she did the workshop on, yeah, right.
And I thought, wow, that is, I hadn't even considered that. And so I thought that was good. I didn't get to participate in it, but I just thought, that it was good to offer that.
Yeah. Yeah. We did one not long ago too about proper alignment. We hired a physical therapist to do a webinar because you're at the computer so much, right? And so what is proper alignment, all those things and stretches that you need to do and throughout the day and things like that. So does anybody have any questions for Gaylotta? Or comments or things that you'd like to know? People were shy at first, like, how did she find her clients, or how does she know how much to charge? There's always questions like that people have. It's always hard to figure out the answer to.
Yeah.
Diane said you're very inspiring.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you. Yeah. I'll probably play this back so I can inspire myself.
Natasha wants to know, what do you use for slideshows?
I use Photopia.
Right. So tell us a little. Yeah, and we have a breakout at conference on photo. So you knew about photo. Did you know? Were you a previous user when they were the other? I forget what they were because I used to love that program.
No.
Okay.
I think I came to them. When I came to them, they switched over to they upgraded to another level, and so there was different. It was a whole different platform, but so I came to them just as they were getting ready to make that transition. Prior to that, I was just, whatever little slideshow thing I would come. I mean, I am trolling the web looking for, all kinds of things that say that they can do this. And I was, and so I was really desperate to find a tool that wasn't like everybody else's. It was just a little different. It had a little professional spin to it, and some of the other stuff, I didn't think that it really had that. So I used Photopia, but I also used Filmora. So those are the two that
what's the other one called?
Filmora. It's by Wondershare. Wondershare, Filmora.
Yep.
Now it's not quite like Photopia in that it has all these marvelous templates, but if you have something that if you have something that some pieces, some pictures that you just want to put together and make it simple, it's really good for that. And probably if you're good, thank you, Isabel, that probably if you're good, you can probably, really work to make it as good as, actually I did my high school reunion video. They asked me to do that, and I did that in Filmora. So yes, it can. It lends itself to a lot.
Yeah, but Photopia is unique. Yeah. So what she's talking about too is a product that it does a lot. It takes your slideshows up a whole notch. It's not like
it does.
Your son could put together something on iMovie. So Meredith asks, I'm just starting out. What would be your number one piece of advice?
Oh my gosh, number one. Know that this is no longer a hobby. This is a business. And there's a big difference between a hobby and a business. And you're in the right place by being with photo managers. Go to all of the sessions that come up, particularly the ones about starting your business. Go to all of them because all of the people that they have are very professional and they're very knowledgeable and experienced. But I think that's the biggest thing is that you have to realize that this is no longer a hobby, that it is a business, and you have to continue in that mindset. The other thing that I realize that you don't know everything, and don't be ashamed to learn something. Don't feel like a failure because you've got to learn something. That is probably one of the most satisfying things. Every time you're able to master a new tool, oh, that's a great feeling. When you find the tool that I'm learning to master, and this is not me, this is just me. I avoid Adobe, and the reason why I avoid Adobe because it is very expensive. I am not that level of professionalism where I can afford to get it well invested in Adobe. So I was always looking for alternatives to that, alternatives to Photoshop and to Illustrator and all of that. And I finally found one. It is called Affinity, and it has the same packages so there's Affinity Design, which would be like
InDesign.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or yes, or InDesign. Yeah. They also have Illustrator, which it might be like InDesign. They have Affinity Photo, Affinity Design, Affinity Illustrator, and then it may be one other. The good thing about it is you pay one price and you are done. You might have to pay for upgrades or something like that, but I love it and I'm mastering it. I was totally intimidated by it, but not as much as I was with Adobe, but I'm feeling more comfortable and I'm more inclined to go to it than I am to Canva. And the thing about working with Affinity is that your designs are not likely to come out looking like everybody else's, because it gives you that opportunity to make up your own. Use templates, use elements, use whatever, but you can make it your own.
Oh, that's good. I never heard of that. So that's interesting. There's different, that's that willingness to learn, right? You're out there finding solutions for yourself.
Yeah.
Marlene asks, how do you charge for your services?
Marlene, I am still struggling with that, so I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that I've got a niche and I think that it's working, and then I'll go to a workshop and hear someone say something else and I think, oh, I think I gotta rethink that. So, I think someone, and I don't want to fall into, I'm not saying I'm embarrassed to say what I charge. I'm not saying what I charge only because I'm not absolutely certain that is the best or if it's the worst. And so I don't want to tell you something and then that doesn't work for you. But I will say, definitely do not do anything for at least less than 200 or less than 300. I mean, your time, your expertise is well worth that. And no, I don't charge hourly. I really charge by the service. I will say that. I stopped charging because I couldn't figure out how to charge hourly.
I was thinking about you when you're talking about the creativity you do, and you like to get things just so. You're probably, you can't pass that kind of perfectionism in a way, right, on to the customer.
Right.
And so, but that's something that you do out of your own desire to be. I always said I'd never charged enough for the photo books I made because I love the process of really getting them just right and things like that. But I think we do a lot of training. We actually have every November it's called Profitability Live, where we do a deep dive into pricing. We do talk about it a lot because this is a complicated, and there's different ways of pricing. And this year we're doing case studies. Again, we're going to have members demonstrate the same project from start to finish, and then their approach to pricing and things. So you'll see
that'll be good.
Yeah, that's coming up. Yeah, we're working on that, and so.
And I think that's a good point, Kathy. I really think it's where you are. So some people are very comfortable with doing hourly. I just wasn't comfortable with hourly. So, by the package, it was more comfortable for me. So.
Yeah. You should know, I guess the one advice would be you want to know what the hourly rate, though, you should be working from as a starting point. So we recommend research what is the hourly rate for a service provider in your community. It's going to vary based on where you live in the country. So I've seen anywhere from $45, $55 to $150 or more an hour. And so by that research, I mean residential home organizers, massage therapists, bookkeepers, anybody that's charging an hour, that people are outsourcing services to in a professional way. And then from there, that's kind of where you want to build your packages and things from, because remember, an hourly fee needs to take into account invoicing, collecting the client's projects, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that you build into that hourly fee. So that's enough on that. But let's see, somebody who said, glad somebody's excited about Affinity. And I saw another question here. Oh, when you did the parents' wedding album, did you scan the whole page or just the photos and add digital borders, like digital scrapbooking?
Fortunately, it was a very old album, but nothing was stuck. The pages, the plastic had started yellowing. Some of the photos had started yellowing. So no, I took all the photos out. I took every photo out. So first thing I did is I took pictures of every page because I want to be able to give it back to them the way they gave it to them. So I took pictures of every page, and that's good in that it also helps you to make certain that you didn't miss something. You didn't miss a photo. So you can always go back to that. The other thing that I found in doing that is that over the years, when you have family albums and photo albums, people, depending on who gets possession of it, will put it in different orders. Things get moved or whatever. So this was a wedding album. And when I opened it up and started looking at it, I realized this is not the order that the wedding would, getting preparation and get started and all that. It wasn't in that order. So I just had to just kind of remember from my own weddings or weddings that I've been through, the order of the day. The other thing that I will say that was really a plus for me is that in my regional group, I mentioned that I had these photos in this album, that some of them were black and white, some of them were what I thought was sepia, but it might have just been that they were old, and I really wasn't sure about what to do with them. And the advice was that might even been on Facebook, but try doing them all in black and white, see how it looks, try doing them all in sepia, see how it looks, and then ask the client what they like. And I hadn't thought about that because basically I would have, if I hadn't had the advantage of reading that, I would have been delivering an album to her that was mismatched in terms of some yellow, some brownish photos and some black and white photos. But when I turned them all black and white, oh, it was beautiful. And she loved it. And I told her what I did. And she said, oh no, I'm glad you did that. It looks really good.
That's great. All right. This has been wonderful. Any other thoughts or comments before we close? I agree. People are saying you're a joy to listen to, Gaylotta. I'm sure if you do presentations and things, people probably really get a lot out of your teaching style, and your calm and your passion, though, comes so clearly through as well. And so we thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, everybody. People are saying great presentation that have joined us. If you're thinking about joining the Photo Managers, we'd love to welcome you. You can go to the photomanagers.com, go join today. There's still time to sneak into Orlando if you want to quickly get to Orlando next week. But our virtual conference happens 4 weeks later. It's the whole conference repeated happens in person. You don't miss a thing. Lots of gifts and prizes. We do all sorts of things to make it really fun. And so you're welcome to join us. That's a great opportunity to kind of jump right in. So you'll be on our mailing list. You're probably getting information about that. So thank you so much again. Everybody's giving you a thumbs up, and enjoy your holiday weekend for those of you that are celebrating. And we look forward to next month again when we do another Career Advice from a Pro. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for the thanks. Appreciate it.
All right.